Chapter 447, Sacred Sect, Dragon Sect, 7. We are not convinced. While all 18 supreme talents were overlooking the crowd from the quiet arena, a sneer came and took everyone by surprise. Who is not convinced? Everyone was stunned as they spun around. All the 18 people on the stage froze as they turned to the source of the voice. 5 young men were staring at the group of people on the stage with cold eyes. Her? Who are they? Who are these 5 people? All of the people were puzzled as they gave way to form a path for them. We're not convinced either. Yet another voice came at this time. More people. Why are they here? Gosh, those people on stage are the supreme talents of inborn levels. Who else is not convinced? Once again, the crowd was stunned as they looked in the other direction. 7 young men. They stared at the supreme talents on the stage with a domineering fighting spirit. 12 of them. A supreme talent on stage squinted his eyes as he watched the 12 people stalking towards the stage. Radiance flicked in his eyes. He us too. Boom. Damn, there are more. If I guess correctly, those 5 people are outstanding 5 devil dragons. The other 7 are Dragon 7 stars. They just made their names known to the underworld a few days ago. Little did I expect they would turn up. Who are the other 4 who spoke? 16? Suddenly 16 people sprouted up? If they're not convinced, could they be experts from the inborn realm? Fuck. I thought the ranking was almost over. Who knew there are another 16 inborn experts? Scary. Where did these people come from? There is no information about them. Which clan did they come from? Which sex? All of them watched the group of young men below the arena with stunned looks. Her. When the group of supreme talents on the stage looked at 16 young men who exploded immense fighting spirit, their expressions were stern. Ha ha, I'm not convinced. Hai Long, you? You are not fit to be the champion yet. Let me challenge you. Xiao Yu cast a glance at the group of Dragonians. She was eager to get on the stage when she fixed her eyes on the young lord of Sea Serpent Island. With her bone sword, she leaped onto the arena. Her? Challenging the young lord of Sea Serpent Island? Miracle Dr. Wang's sister is simply digging her own grave. She's challenging the young lord? That sister of Miracle Dr. Wang is too insolent. The crowd was stunned when they saw Xiao Yu jumping into the arena, just to challenge the young lord of Sea Serpent Island. All of them looked at Xiao Yu as though she was some idiot. That young lady was an inborn expert indeed. But she was still a far cry from the young lord. Haha, challenge me. The young lord was frowning when he saw the sudden appearance of 16 young men up for the challenge. He darkened his expression instantly when he saw Xiao Yu charging at him. How dare a lass like you challenge my superiority? The young lord fixed his cold stare on Xiao Yu. The inborn spiritual weapon, Frozen Sorrows, was held in his hand and was pointing at Xiao Yu. Are you tired of living? Heh. With her bone sword in her hand and a black armor-like outfit, she said, You are not fit to be the champion of the supreme talents. Well, fine. The young lord revealed a ghastly look. Since you dared to challenge me, prepare for your death. Xiao Yu raised her eyebrows as she drew her bone sword to the side. With a quick move, she went for her attack. Take this. Go on. Challenge him. The winner will be the champion of the rankings. The people on the stage can get down. With Xiao Yu launching her attack, there was no hesitation from the Dragonians below the stage. With a swift movement, all of them charged to the supreme talents on the stage. Courting your own doom. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes when the ominous-looking young man spotted someone assaulting him. On the side, Flower Monk held his bloody Buddha beads on his neck and exhibited coldness in his eyes. Boom boom. Combat exploded instantly in the arena. Everyone was dumbfounded by the scene as they parted their lips. Miracle Dr. Wang's sister is actually attacking the young lord. This is madness. Those 16 people who sprouted out of nowhere are insane. They actually challenged those supreme talents on the stage. Someone is fighting with the ominous-looking young man and Flower Monk. Where did they come from? They are not wearing uniforms, so they should not be from the same force. I've heard of the outstanding 5 devil dragons and Dragon 7 stars. But who are the other 4 young ones? Where did they come from? Crazy. The outstanding young heroes chart ranking this year is simply too insane. All the people surrounding the arena receded immediately. The entire situation was insane, with the sudden appearance of a dozen inborn experts challenging all the supreme talents. This was combat that involved more than 30 inborn experts. All the remaining people could only retreat. At the same time, all the people who were watching the match through the Underworld website were dumbfounded too. The entire situation was too overwhelming. Those who were not here at the scene would regret it for life. Many martial artists almost fell to their knees as they watched the broadcast. There are just too many young experts. Seeing all the Dragonians leaping onto the stage, Xiao Ran was the only one without a rival. Hence he jumped down with a smile. Bam! What? With the sound of the clattering weapons, the sword in Xiao Yu's hand and the frozen sorrows of young Lord of Sea Serpent Island finally clashed together. Young Lord of Sea Serpent Island had a huge change in his expression, as he sensed the immense energy coming from it. The frozen sorrows was a special inborn spiritual weapon, given to him by his father. It was incredibly strong, but it was only on par with the opponent's black bone sword. Humph, how dare you call yourself the champion of the supreme talents? You're not fit. The black bone-like armor on Xiao Yu exuded faint bouts of black aura. As a skeletal dragon, all her battles were close range. Her strength, the penetration, and the defense of the bones had reached a horrifying stage. As a half-step to Dan Realm, Xiao Yu could easily defeat the young Lord of Sea Serpent Island despite the fact that he had a powerful weapon. But Xiao Yu's entire body was a daunting weapon itself. Lass, go to hell. Young Lord of Sea Serpent Island had a change in his expression when he heard what she said. With a frosty pair of eyes, he looked at her while the ice core round disc began to spin at his chest. The ground around him began to freeze. The surrounding temperature dropped to -100 degrees. All the Dragonians and Supreme Talents who were engaged in the duels had a change in their expressions as they hurriedly drew themselves away. The duels quickly kicked off. Bam! Back to the ominous-looking young man. His grayish umbrella tip was pointing at one Dragonian with a disdainful look in his eyes. Humph! That Dragonian snorted as he stretched out his palm. The human palm was immediately filled with dragon scales. He caught the tip of the umbrella and revealed a cold smile. You're not my match. Concede your defeat. Courting your own doom. The ominous-looking young man turned cold with a ferocious expression surfacing on his face. A bout of grayish mist surged from his gray umbrella. Chapter 448. Sacred Sect, Dragon Sect, 8. The grayish mist from the tip of the umbrella had decadent vibes. They had originated from the decadent powers. An attack that was from one's bloodline. The grayish decadent energy could substantially negate the opponent's defense. When the Dragonian noticed the energy, contempt beamed in his eyes. A stream of black aura was emitted from his hand and the dense black mist withstood the grayish decadent energy. Bloodline? Hehe. Dragonians had the strongest bloodline in the universe. The corpse-like bloodline wouldn't be a match at all. What? The ominous-looking young man was astonished. Even when facing the young Lord of Sea Serpent Island, he was calm and composed. However, he was truly shocked by the young man who emitted black energy. Fear flashed in his eyes. Burst! Burst! At this juncture, an angry roar resounded. The flower monk's expression was filled with bloodlust. At the top of his head where there was a scar, a hideous image of an evil ghost could be vaguely seen. His pale white face was covered in blood, and he looked exceptionally terrifying. A Buddha bead flew towards the Dragonian before him and exploded violently. Creepy fresh blood was released from the exploded Buddha beads, and flew towards the Dragonian like maggots which clung to corpses. Ominous spirits infiltration. The Dragonian wasn't alarmed at all as he charged forward. The bloodthirsty aura penetrated into the body of the Dragonian. However, the noble bloodline of the divine dragon was instantly triggered. Wong! The bloodthirsty aura was erased instantly. Shit! The flower monk, whose face was immersed in bloodthirsty aura, was astonished. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. At this moment, several people admitted defeat. When the crowd around the arena looked to the stage, they were in awe. The 16 inborn experts that had just appeared were all exceptionally powerful. With their immense physical body strength, they had forced these supreme talents to admit defeat. The supreme talents that were previously standing on the arena with poise were now easily defeated. This type of attack. Tang Yinxian played her haozhong. Each musical note and stream of water flow restricted the attacks of the dragonian before her. However, her expression was turning more and more solemn. She was very familiar with this type of attack. Her vision shifted to below the stage and she saw that young man smiling faintly. At this point, she couldn't help but be surprised. Wang! As she waved her fingers, all the musical notes disappeared. Tang Yinxian clasped her right fist with her left palm, facing the dragonian in front of her before jumping down from the arena. SSS. How can this be possible? Those young men that have appeared suddenly are too strong and terrifying. Overwhelming. They were completely overwhelming. This group of people is too powerful. When the crowd looked across and saw one after another supreme talent admitting defeat, they were astonished. Look, the young lord of Sea Serpent Island, Flower Monk and the ominous-looking young man are all being overwhelmed. At this moment, a teenager couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the developments with disbelief. What? How can this be possible? Complete domination. How can they be completely dominated? Putting Flower Monk and the ominous-looking young man aside, why would even the young lord of Sea Serpent Island be overwhelmed? The sister of Miracle Dr. Wang is so strong. Look, every time they clash, the young lord of Sea Serpent Island is knocked back several steps. The thick layer of ice has no effect on her at all. The crowd was shocked to witness this. What incredible strength and tough weapon. How can this be possible, if she wasn't lacking in battle experience? As the chilling aura swept across Xiaoyu, cracks appeared on the tough arena structure and the air became stale. However, she wasn't affected at all. It was as though the chilling aura didn't deal any damage to her at all. Could it be the armor she's wearing? The young lord of Sea Serpent Island pulled a long face and his eyelids were twitching violently. His eyes were fixed on Xiaoyu's bone sword and the black armor she was wearing. Puff! He took a deep breath and the ice core round disc at his chest started to spin once again. Crack, crack, crack. A layer of ice was gradually extended over his entire body, from his arms to his legs and eventually his head. In the next instant, the young lord of Sea Serpent Island had turned into a statue of ice. The frozen sorrows in his hand seemed to have merged with his palm. The ice-cold seal had turned his body into a weapon. How insane! I can feel a deathly chill even when I'm so far away. The current young lord of Sea Serpent Island is probably peerless among the pinnacle inborn experts. That's too insane. Look, the ominous-looking young man and the Flower Monk have also undergone huge transformations. Below the stage, the crowd exclaimed in shock. The viewers over the Underworld website were also entirely attracted. Their eyes were opened wide as they stared at their screens, afraid of missing out on anything. What they were seeing was too shocking. I can't believe you have pushed me to this extent. The ominous-looking young man started turning white. His skin had lost its glow and was emitting decadent vibes. The current ominous-looking young man was just like a 10,000-year-old corpse, deathly silent, decadent and creepily horrifying. As for the Flower Monk, a stream of blood tears flowed to his chin. The hideous ghost on the scar at the top of his head stood up and emitted terrifying perversity. Bloody red mist was being ejected from all parts of his body, making him look incomparably bloody. The ominous-looking young man looked coldly towards the Flower Monk. From the vengeance he was emitting, no one knew how many people he had killed previously. The two Dragonians smiled faintly and dense dark aura emitted from their bodies. At the same time, their arms were undergoing a tremendous transformation. Their palms grew over 3 to 4 times their initial size and turned into the claws of a beast. Interesting. A clash of bloodlines. The two Dragonians pursed their lips as they grabbed forward with their dragon claws. This was the Dragonians in their human form. With their current strength they could dragonify their claws. After dragonification, their palms would resemble the claws of the dragon and would be incomparably sharp. As they grabbed forward, it felt as though they could rip the space apart. Bloodline. They are bloodline martial artists. There are extremely few bloodline cultivators. However, they are common in Euramerica. They can even turn into beasts to launch their attacks. Why do that ominous-looking young man and flower monk feel so evil? Could it be? Some elders who had accompanied the disciples of their families and sects seemed to have recalled something. They became serious and some even felt fear creeping up on them. What a high-level bloodline! What kind of bloodlines are those? Feeling the energies from the dragon claws, the ominous-looking young man and flower monk shivered. They gritted their teeth and launched their decadent energies and bloodthirsty aura towards the dragon claws. Just admit your defeat. Two chilling calls resounded as the two Dragonians grabbed towards the body of the ominous-looking young man and the flower monk respectively. Chapter 449. Sacred Sect. Dragon Sect. 9. Get decadent. Into blood. The ominous-looking young man and the flower monk gave a loud and malevolent cry before they charged towards that dragon claws with grayish decadence and bloodthirsty energies. Claws of the devil dragon. The two Dragonians bellowed coldly, raking their half-meter dragon claws forward. Ka-ka-ka. A shattering sound came with a huge change in the expressions of the ominous-looking young man and flower monk. With horror they watched as the daunting claws broke through their defense, ripping their bodies. Gasp! Their eyes were full of trepidation as they blocked with their hands in front of them. The terrifying claws with dragon scales stifled them. Fear of death loomed over them. Do you concede defeat? The two Dragonians fixed their cold eyes on them as they uttered their question. We lost. We lost. The two of them trembled with fear as they stared at the two Dragonians. Bloodline oppression. As bloodline martial artists, the scariest thing was to meet same-level opponents with a more prestigious bloodline. That would cause great oppression on them. Besides, higher-grade bloodlines would be much more dominating than the lower grades. The two Dragonians withdrew their dragon claws and threw them a faint smile. Both the flower monk and the ominous-looking young man grimaced. But they could only take a deep breath and bow before making their exits. This was a recognition of the Dragonians' strength. The Dragonians neither kill any innocent nor push anyone to the end. That ominous-looking young man and flower monk were defeated. Defeated, they are defeated. The rest of the supreme talents were all defeated. Gosh, these dozen people just won against all the previous supreme talents. Horrifying. Outstanding 5 devil dragons. No doubt they are the outstanding 5 devil dragons. These outstanding 5 devil dragons must be from a secluded family. Could it be the previous diabolism? The others were also very powerful. Somehow, they do not seem to have revealed their full power yet. Seeing that even the ominous-looking young man and flower monk were defeated, horror filled the eyes of the surrounding crowd at the arena. Those supreme talents who were questioning whether anyone was not convinced were all defeated in the arena. The ranking was completely overturned. They were unable to react in time in the various combats today. As they looked at the young men who sprouted out in the arena, tinges of awe flashed in their eyes. Second uncle, where are they from? How is it that they are so mighty? Xiao Fuzi swept his gaze across the group of young men with darkening expression below the arena. I'm not sure. But I know that ominous-looking young man and the flower monk definitely come from diabolism. The middle-aged man beside him shook his head with eyes looking grave. Diabolism? Could those young men come from diabolism too? Those two men could turn their hands into some beast's claws. I'm sure they are not simple, said Xiao Fuzi with a stern-looking face. When he was fighting with one of the young men in the arena, he'd already sensed the frightening strength and his combat experience was far from his own. There are too many changes to this outstanding young hero's chart this time, said the middle-aged man with flickering eyes. Something big is going to happen in the underworld. Given my strength, I can't even be ranked in the outstanding young hero's chart. Xiao Fuzi gritted his teeth. We need to investigate where these young men came from. But now, all the more we need to kill that miracle Dr. Wang. The remuneration from Medical Saint Sect could greatly enhance the strength of Chao clan. Kill. Bam! Just then, a sudden crashing sound came from the arena. When the crowd looked over again, it was incredible combat that they saw. Why are they giving it all their might? All of them were shocked when they saw the frozen sorrows of the young lord stabbing at the sister of Miracle Dr. Wang's chest. Using his experience, he got his opponent to stab into his shoulder. As he battled, this was the only choice that the young lord could make. To exchange a strike with a strike. Trying to break my defense. The aura that they were emitting was causing the crowd to shiver in fear. That domineering black devilish aura was truly too frightening. It's over, it's over. When Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan released their auras, the people from the other 8 forces were devastated. As they saw the remaining Dragonians charging towards them, they couldn't help but feel deep regret. Chapter 451. Dragon Sect's Killing Order 2. Boom! No, don't kill us. We surrender. When the remaining Dragonians charged over, the score of inborn experts from the 8 forces screamed in horror. Some of them even tried to flee with trepidation. They ignored their dignity as a clan and as experts when they tried to flee far away. However, the Dragonians were even faster than them as they flitted over and surrounded them. Kill! One of the Dragonians charged towards Chao Clan, and those inborn experts with a frosty and daunting demonic aura. It's over. Upon seeing that Dragonian charging at him, fear filled Xiao Fuzi's eyes. That Dragonian was the one who had fought and defeated him within 30 moves in the arena just now. His strength was formidable. Kill! On the brink of life and death, Xiao Fuzi could only bite the bullet and explode all his might for his last fight. Trash! With a disdainful voice, that Dragonian's palm slowly transformed into something horrifying. As Xiao Fuzi witnessed the transformation, he was appalled. He wielded his sword directly at that Dragonian. As the sword slashed at the dragon claws, it was caught by that Dragonian easily. Just you and you think you can kill our Dragon King? I was only playing with you just now in the arena. The Dragonian sneered as he raked his dragon claws across Xiao Fuzi's body. Art! With a huge change in his expression, Xiao Fuzi darted his sword at him. Art! A petrifying shriek came from Xiao Fuzi when the dragon claws grabbed and crushed his body straightaway. Xiao Fuzi widened his eyes with fear. Arg arg! At this time he heard cries from the side. He tilted his head with the last trace of his vitality. All he saw was the few elders of Chao Clan and the various inborn experts getting killed. Within less than 1 minute, more than 10 inborn experts were struck down. Cough cough. Xiao Fuzi spat out a mouthful of blood as his eyes were big and round, full of remorse. As the most outstanding disciple of a sacred clan and the youngest inborn expert of the Chao clan, his bright future ended here. They are way too compelling. 50 Dragon Sect disciples killed dozens of inborn experts in a split second. Gosh, all of them have strength that is close to pinnacle inborn, or are pinnacle inborns themselves. The inborn experts of Dragon Sect are way too domineering. All of them can transform their hands into daunting claws, which can actually resist the attacks of inborn spiritual weapons. Their combat abilities are not those that any average inborn can compare with. All the surrounding people twitched their eyebrows as they watched in fear as the inborn experts perished one by one. The strength possessed by 30 inborn experts was almost equivalent to that of a sacred sect. Yet, all of them had been struck down one by one. The inborn experts who were striking just now were being massacred. Looking at those Dragonians who were exuding black demonic aura, all the surrounding crowd had awe in their eyes. When they looked at that young man before the Dragonians, all they had was admiration and fear for him. This is a new sacred sect and a terrifying one. They had mighty strength. They are even more compelling than the elder group of our heavenly sound sect. When Elder Yang saw the group of Dragonians kneeling before that young man, he was already taken aback by horror. Seeing those 8 forces who had accepted the killing order from Medical Saint sect getting massacred by them, his heart quivered. If not for the strong opposition from Tang Yinxian, they could be part of the group now. Given the style of that dragon sect master, so what if it was a sacred sect or sacred clan? Offend him and all will die. They are really formidable. Tang Yinxian was astounded by the 50 Dragonians. Chapter 452. Dragon Sects Killing Order 3. Art. When the last person from the 8 forces had finally died, the entire competition field for the Outstanding Young Heroes competition went silent. As a cold breeze blew over, everyone could feel the chill down their bones. This type of chill was more penetrative than what they felt from the young lord of Sea Serpent Island. Looking at the corpses around them, they couldn't help but shiver. Among the 8 forces, there were subordinates of the second strongest man in the underworld, people from the Sacred Clan, Chao Clan, the Wu family and many other first-class forces. Only the young lord of Sea Serpent Island among the 30 inborn experts had made it out alive after 2 half-step to Dan realm experts sacrificed themselves to help him escape with the treasure he had. All the rest were killed on the spot. Looking at the 50 Dragonians appearing behind the young man, everyone was truly shocked. Any force that could establish itself as a sacred sect would undoubtedly be a force to be reckoned with over a certain region. From today onwards, that young man would be the same. His name is the Dragon King, the sect leader of the sacred sect, Dragon Sect. No one had any doubts about Dragon Sect becoming a sacred sect, and no one would doubt its strength. Just the 50 inborn experts before them would be more than the inborn experts many other sacred sects had. When he said he wasn't participating in the Outstanding Young Heroes competition, there were still lots of people mocking him. They accused him of being afraid after seeing the experts, and thought he didn't dare to take on the challenge. It would seem now that he definitely has the strength. It is just that he had no regard for those participating at all. Considering he could make so many experts address him as the Dragon King, how strong is he? I believe he is definitely above the inborn realm. That's 100% certain. His sister alone is able to defeat the young lord of Sea Serpent Island. He wouldn't be any worse. Another unparalleled expert has appeared in the underworld once again. The Dragon King from the Dragon Sect. The crowd thought to themselves. Wang Xian looked across and noticed there were still a lot of camera equipment over the entire competition ground for the Outstanding Young Heroes competition. All these cameras were broadcasting live for the entire underworld over the internet. At this point, he knew that whatever happened here was known by the entire underworld. Medical Saint Sect's killing order? Today my Dragon Sect shall also issue a killing order to all those forces that fought against us as well as the Medical Saint Sect. We will definitely annihilate all of you in the future. Wang Xian looked towards the camera and said coldly. In 3 days our Dragon Sect will be hosting a pilgrimage for 2 consecutive days. On the first day, I hope you guys will come and our Dragon Sect will definitely be a good host. Wang Xian's voice resounded and the crowd could hear him clearly. Those who relied on the cameras for the livestream over the Underworld website had also seen it clearly with their eyes. Despite being separated by the screen, they could still see and sense the boundless dominance and killing intent in Wang Xian words. All of them were greatly shocked. This is Dragon King from the Dragon Sect declaring war against Medical Saint Sect and the Chao clan? We are talking about 2 Saint-class forces here. He's too domineering and arrogant. After slaughtering everyone from the 8 forces, he announced he would be annihilating all of them. That's too insane. Establishing a sacred sect at the age of 20 and having 50 inborn experts as subordinates. This is too shocking. Every action of Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown has been shocking the entire underworld. And now he's issuing a challenge to the Medical Saint Sect and Chao clan. Is he a little too brazen to announce he will annihilate all the forces who accepted the killing order from the Medical Saint Sect? Those are 8 forces, among which 1 is even a Saint-class force. If we put the other 7 forces together, they could also be equivalent to a sacred sect. Together with the Medical Saint Sect, that would be the strength of 3 Saint-class forces. Wang Xian's announcement shocked everyone to the core. He made it clear that he wouldn't rest until either his side perished or Medical Saint Sect and Chao clan perished. That was too terrifying. Nonetheless, everyone was filled with respect and fear towards him. No one dared to make it clear publicly to go against the medical saint sect, the Chao clan and the other 7 forces. Even other sacred sects wouldn't dare to make 2 other sacred sects their enemies at the same time. Arrogance. He's too arrogant. He is saying he's going to annihilate our medical saint sect. Boom! At this very moment, within the mountain valley of medical saint sect. When the 2 sect leaders of medical saint sect saw Wang Xian's declaration over the video, they were infuriated. While their eyes were glowing with anger, they were also a little shocked. He should be counting himself lucky if we don't pursue him. Yet he's saying he's going to annihilate us. Haha, great. Dragon King of the Dragon Sect. Great. The 2 of them stared furiously at the video. Dense killing intent was leaking out of their bodies. In 3 days, it will be the death anniversary of your dragon sect. Inform the supreme elders of the medical saint sect. We have reached the point that this incident won't end without a side perishing. We will be mobilizing all our forces. Although that brat possesses unexpected influence, just the dragon sect alone isn't enough to shake the foundation of our medical saint sect. Wishful thinking. The 2 sect leaders shouted and looked hideous. The surrounding elders of the medical saint sect were also brimming with killing intent. The words of that young man in the video didn't just constitute provocations. He was declaring that he wouldn't rest until one side perished. And he was making the same statement to 2 sacred sects. A wise elder pondered for a moment before remarking solemnly, "Sect leaders, I believe our best option is to ally with the Chao clan. The dragon sect isn't weak. Moreover, that Dragon King will most likely be above the inborn realm. Inform our supreme elders too. There's nothing to fear about just a dragon sect." The other sect leader pulled a long face and shouted, "I'm just thinking of playing it safe. Since he dares to challenge us in the Chao clan, he should be aware of the strength of the 2 sacred sects. I'm only afraid that he's still hiding his true strength," that elder reminded. The 2 sect leader of the medical saint sect calmed down and replied, "We will get in contact with the Chao clan. If dragon sect was still hiding their strength, they would indeed be horrifying. Oh, damn it. The dragon sect is too arrogant and brazen. It's just a newly established sacred sect, and yet he dares to be so arrogant." Nanjing. Within a mountain peak, a group had gathered at the Grand Hall and was watching the video on the screen solemnly. The Chao clan would never have expected the other party to go to this extent after killing 4 of their disciples for simply accepting the killing order of the medical saint sect. It was especially so after learning that the other party possessed such terrifying strength. If the Chao clan had known that the other party was a sacred clan, they would have never gotten themselves involved in this. Now that they had boarded the ship, they couldn't alight. The other party issued a challenge to them directly, and even declared that they would be annihilating them. Domineering and arrogant. In the Grand Hall of the Chao clan, everyone was extremely bitter. A sacred sect had declared that they would annihilate them. Moreover, it came from Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown, who had been known to be domineering in his actions. This wouldn't be a joke. No matter how this incident turned out, their Chao clan would have suffered a huge blow. Even if they achieved victory in the end. Why Xiaoyu? Are you number 1? Elder Fong asked with a smiling face from beside her. No, it's not me. Xiaoyu pouted with slight unhappiness. I was the one who defeated the young lord of Sea Serpent Island. Instead of giving me first place, they gave it to my brother. So unfair. What an uncrowned champion. This is shady. Didn't they say no rankings for those who didn't participate in the competition? Xiaoyu remarked with dissatisfaction while the rest around her chuckled. Establishing a sacred sect at the age of 20. Do you think he needs to get in the arena? Besides, you're his sister. How could anyone think Xiaoxian is weaker than you? Said Guan Shuqing to Xiaoyu smilingly. That is still unfair. The championship should be mine. The first female champion in history. Xiaoyu trotted to Wang Xian with displeasure. But subsequently she exclaimed with excitement, brother, you were simply dashing just now. I have always been dashing. Wang Xian chuckled. The entire underworld is heated. All of them are discussing Dragon Sect. Brother, the Medical Saint Sect and Xiao Clan are quite strong. If they really turn up in 3 days, do we need to get those babies from the Dragon Palace in advance? Haha, and that blue whale of a sister-in-law Qingyue. I'm sure it will freak them out. Xiao Yu held Wang Xian's arm as she commented excitedly, using her imagination. Do we need the members of Dragon Palace to be here? Till then, you can just transform into the invincible divine dragon and take down a sacred sect all by yourself, said Wang Xian jokingly. Brother Yu. Xiao Yu stared at him furiously. The moment she thought of what she looked like after the transformation, her hair stood on end. If she had to turn into a divine dragon for an extended period, she would be infuriated by her own appearance. Okay, Xiao Yu is the cutest of all, said Wang Xian hurriedly upon seeing her angry look. I hope all of them will come in 3 days. Otherwise, the dragon sect will need to take the trouble to seek them out one by one. A trace of murderous intent flashed in Wang Xian's eyes as he spoke. He would not let any one of them off who wanted his life. He would not let off all the forces like Medical Saint Sect, Qiao Clan, Wu family and so on. They had to pay a bloody price for what they'd done today. The vehicle continued its way to Rivertown. They arrived in Rivertown in the evening. When they entered the city, a fleet of luxurious cars emerged out of nowhere around them. More than hundreds of them drove by the side of their cars. Without any communication, these cars lined up in a row in front of them. With car plates of Rivertown, they escorted the car to the villa. Subsequently, these people in the luxurious cars did not get out and drove off immediately. All the big shots of Rivertown were sitting in the cars as they swept a glance with awe at the villa. That was the house of the Dragon King, founder of a sacred sect. It was the sacred ground of all people in Rivertown. Wang Xian smiled at those families and magnates who curried favors. Back in the villa, he lay on the sofa comfortably, sipping a cup of tea. He took out his phone and scrolled through the updates in the underworld. Dragon King established a sacred sect with 50 inborn experts. Unparalleled Dragon King emerged as the champion of the outstanding young heroes. The most terrifying young man, Wang Xian the Dragon King. Dragon Sect's pilgrimage in 3 days. Will it perish or shock the underworld? Newly established Dragon King issued a Dragon Sect killing order to Medical Saint Sect, Qiao Clan, Wu family and the underworld was once again shaken up because of Wang Xian. And this time it was unprecedented heat. Their strength won't be something a newly established Dragon Sect could possibly match, let alone the coalition with the Qiao Clan and the other forces. I'm also of the opinion that the Dragon King of the Dragon Sect is too arrogant to challenge so many forces at the same time. This isn't domineering. It's courting his own demise. He's still young and full of vigor after all. He must have thought that he could go against 2 Saint-class forces with 50 inborn experts as disciples. Wang Xian looked at the various messages and frowned. The return of diabolism. I heard about it from Sui Huang previously. There are 2 reasons why the forces of the underworld are relatively weaker compared to those in the international stage. One reason was because of the disappearance of the 9 cauldrons, while the other was because of diabolism. A meteoric rise will eventually end in a gruesome way because of his arrogance. Chapter 457. The Battle of the Ages 3. Splash. Fine rain sprinkled down. The group of Qiao Clan came to the seaside and stood there while the surroundings plunged into silence. Everyone watched them with horror in their eyes. Too strong, a young man remarked with awe and dodgy eyes. Have the people from Medical Saint Sect arrived yet? A formidable elder from Qiao Clan looked around and asked in a deep voice. They're here. The old man looked behind him. In green and red uniforms, the group of Medical Saint Sect experts was flitting in their direction. 2 elders were traveling in the sky. The way they traveled was not comparable to any of those inborn experts who could only flit in the air temporarily. They were hovering in the air for real, just like birds gliding in the air. On top of that, their speed in the air was not any slower than on land. In the realm above inborn realm, Dan realm experts could fly in the sky. This was another important hallmark of Dan realm experts. What? 2 Dan realm experts? They are the supreme elders of medical saint sect, from Hua family and Laozu from Bian family. SSS, the real unparalleled experts. Unparalleled experts. The Laozu of Chao clan is also from the same realm. There are 3 unparalleled experts. The crowd watched the supreme elders of medical saint sect in the air with disbelief. Some of the elders within Chao clan looked over with appalling looks and flickering eyes. The medical saint sect lives up to their name. They have 2 unparalleled experts who are simply compelling. Medical saint sect also brought 40 inborn experts here. That's great. Now that they have 90 inborn experts, it will be a breeze to annihilate dragon sect. We might not even have many losses. 3 unparalleled experts. Even though the Dragon King is also an unparalleled expert, he will perish under the joint attack of 3 equivalent leveled experts. The people from 7 forces, including Wu family, had thrills flushing in their eyes. With so many experts around, what was there to be afraid of? Old Hua, Old Bian, since we're all here, let's go. Laozu of Chao clan was not surprised by the 2 unparalleled experts of medical saint sect. The 2 strong families, Huas and Bians, had been 2 sacred clans since a long time ago. The 2 families had too many casualties such that they joined hands to establish the medical saint sect. Hence, it was not surprising to have 2 unparalleled experts in medical saint sect. Let's go. We'll eliminate that brazen brat today. Medical saint sect has not struck for the past 50 years. Today we're out for some fresh air. An old man revealed a faint smile on his face. Haha, let's go. We shall see what is backing this insolent brat. Haha. Laozu of Chao clan chortled and ascended to the air, exuding terrifying might. Let's go. I'll let the people in the underworld know today that no one lives after killing the disciples of medical saint sect. The old man from medical saint sect exclaimed softly. Though it was soft, the voice traveled to miles away. The 3 unparalleled experts took to the air and flitted towards the island in the sea. The disciples of medical saint sect, Chao clan, and the remaining 7 forces left and were on the heels of them. But they set their foot on the surface of the water and flitted ahead at a rapid speed. They are simply compelling. Is this the strength of 2 sacred sects? With close to hundreds of inborn experts, who else can't they annihilate? The Dragon Sect and Dragon King are finished this time since there are so many inborn experts from Medical Saint Sect and Chao Clan. Not to mention the 3 unparalleled experts. The crowd at the beach watched as horror filled their faces. That arrogant brat, get out and accept your doom. Just then, they heard an indignant, mighty bellow coming from a far distance. Oh. Chapter 458. The Battle of the Ages. 4. What did Xiao Ran mean when he said they must be courting death to want to kill his master? There are 5 Saint-class forces. 5 Saint-class forces are heading to that island right now. That's the strength of about 1/5 of the underworld. This is insane. Xiao Ran's master definitely isn't from the Medical Saint Sect or the Chao clan. If he had said that, could it be? That old man must be the Laozu of the Xiao clan. Oh gosh. Another unparalleled expert has appeared. I wonder if the Laozu of Sui clan is around. The appearance of Sui clan and Xiao clan in quick succession had shocked the spectating crowd. It was especially so for the clan leader of the Xiao clan to make the statement that they must be courting death to kill his master. As a result, many people had an idea in mind. The Dragon King of the Dragon Sect was the master of Xiao Ran. This wasn't a baseless conjecture but one of reasoning and probabilities. First, the Dragon King had reached a higher realm than the inborn realm at just the age of 20. Second, the sister of the Dragon King had reached inborn level, and even defeated the young lord of Sea Serpent Island before the age of 20. Third, there were many young experts in the Dragon Sect. Combining all three reasons, all the young inborn experts seem to be related to the Dragon King. In that case, the reason why Xiao Ran from the Xiao clan could reach the inborn realm might very well be because of the Dragon King. If he was the disciple of the Dragon King, one could also foresee the relationship between the Dragon sect and the Xiao clan. As for the Sui clan, no one really knew the reason. Nonetheless, they must be here to aid the Dragon King. Two sacred clans had come to reinforce them. Gulp. Two sacred clans are here to aid the Dragon sect. It's hard to tell now who will emerge victorious. Medical Saint sect, Xiao clan and 7 other forces against the Dragon sect, Xiao clan and the Sui clan. That's a battle of the ages. In that case, it's still hard to tell who will be annihilated. At the beach, the spectating crowd looked towards the faraway island with conflicting emotions. With 5 Saint-class forces gathered there, that was almost equivalent to 1/5 of the strength of the entire underworld. The Battle of the Ages would be beginning soon. The appearance of the Sui clan and the Xiao clan had caused an incomparably huge ruckus in the underworld. At this very moment on the island above the sea, the supreme elders of the Medical Saint sect and the Laozu of the Qiao clan hovered in the air. The disciples of the Medical Saint sect, Qiao clan and the experts from the 7 other forces stood below them and were staring ahead with smiles. Before them, Wang Xian sat in a chair with a faint smile. Xiao Yu, Elder Fang, Lan Qingyue, Guan Shuqing, Sun Lingxiu and the others stood by his side. The 50 Dragonians stood behind him and stared at the group of people with intense killing intent. That's the Dragon King of the Dragon sect. In the air, the Laozu of Qiao clan looked down on Wang Xian and asked coldly, "Qiao clan? Medical Saint sect?" He. Wang Xian stood up and looked towards the 3 Dan realm experts in the air. His lips curved into a smile as he asked, "Is everyone here now? I admire your fearless bravery." An old man from the Medical Saint sect descended to the ground gradually and looked across Wang Xian's group before continuing. 50 inborn experts. Not too shabby. You are incredible to establish this powerful sect at just the age of 20. However, what a shame. Flippant and insolent, ignorant and dauntless. Those who do not know fear are those who are dead. I'll burn you to ashes. As the supreme elder of the Medical Saint sect spoke, purplish flames started emitting from his body. A floating island. It seems like you have inherited the legacy of the ancestral sect. It's no surprise that you have risen so rapidly. Another supreme elder of the Medical Saint sect looked around him and eventually focused on the island a short distance away. He squinted his eyes and excitement flashed in them. A floating island was something that existed in the legends. It was extremely rare. The Laozu of Qiao clan looked over and greed beamed in his eyes. What if you count our Xiao clan in? Chapter 459. The Battle of the Ages 5. What if you count our Xiao clan in? A kiddie voice came from behind, followed by an immense aura shrouding over Medical Saint sect and Qiao clan. There was no slightest attempt to conceal their strong fighting spirit and killing intent. Xiao Ran swept his cold gaze across everyone before him as he ran towards Wang Xian. "Master. Wang Xian looked at Xiao Ran with a smile and a nod before he turned to Xiao Quanshan. Xiao clan will only strike once for such a lineup. The baldy Xiao Quanshan grinned as he was slightly relieved upon seeing the people from Sui clan. It was not his idea to take part in this battle of the sacred sects. After all, this was a saint-class battle. If something went wrong, the entire sacred clan would suffer a huge loss. Too bad he had promised Xiao Ran, that little fellow, that he had the right to mobilize the enforcement elder team in the clan. If he allowed Xiao Ran to bring the dozen-odd elders here, that was as good as seeking death. Hence he simply brought all the people from Xiao clan here. Uncle Xiao. When the eldest son of Sui Huang spotted the arrival of Xiao clan, his eyes were filled with pleasant surprise. Hurriedly he greeted him. Where's Sui Huang, that old fellow?" asked Xiao Quanshan. "My father is abroad and couldn't make it back," the old man replied. "Xiao Quanshan, don't tell me the Xiao clan is intervening too." Laozu of Qiao clan spoke in a cold voice as he stared at Xiao Quanshan with a darkened expression. So what if we do? Damn, can't you see we're already here? Xiao Quanshan fired his rage at Laozu of Qiao clan. He looked at the two supreme elders of medical saint sect with wariness. Think this over carefully. If a battle were to break out today, it's a losing end for both parties. 90-odd inborn experts are going to perish over here. Think about it. Xiao clan, are you making an enemy with the medical saint sect? The supreme elder stared daggers at Xiao Quanshan with a frozen face. I'm not scared. Xiao Quanshan widened his mouth. If it's between Xiao clan and medical saint sect, I may have my concerns. But now I have Sui clan and dragon sect on the same side. Why should I fear you all? Well, Xiao clan and Sui clan, it looks like you all are going up against the medical saint sect. The supreme elder of medical saint sect was looking menacing. The appearance of Sui clan and Xiao clan had completely disrupted their plans. None of them had expected that the dragon sect could invite two sacred clans for assistance. No wonder you dare to be insolent, killing the future successor of our medical saint sect's sect master and bragging to us. Radiance flickered in the eyes of the supreme elder of medical saint sect as he stared at the gang before him. Combining three sacred sects, dragon sect, Xiao clan and Sui clan, would make more than 90 inborn experts on their side. With one Dan Realm expert, Xiao Quanshan, and the possibility of the Dragon King to be a Dan Realm expert being 80%. They had greater repression with 3 against 2 Dan Realm experts. However, the battle between inborn experts would be a close margin even if they won. Apparently, Laozu of Qiao clan realized this as his expression slowly grimaced. Things had gone far beyond their expectations. With the appearance of Xiao clan and Sui clan, they leveled their overpowering strength. None of them would have thought that the young clan leader of Xiao clan, aka the current youngest inborn expert, would be the disciple of the Dragon King. If a battle were to break out, Xiao clan would receive a huge blow. Towards the end, those surviving inborn experts might not number more than 5. 3 unparalleled experts had a dramatic change in their expressions. They did not dare to act recklessly as the price was too huge to pay. The 2 sect masters of medical saint sect were so infuriated that their bodies trembled. Their enemy was right before their eyes, yet they could not strike under such circumstances. They were clear that the damage of medical saint sect was beyond imagination once they made their moves. They may not lose their sacred status, but a massive loss was guaranteed without a doubt. How is this possible? Little did we expect it would be destroyed in our hands. The supreme elder of medical saint sect trembled as malevolence surfaced on his face. But Dragon King, don't be insolent. Someone will avenge us. Someone. Haha, the time will come soon for the dragon sect to be wiped out. Hysterics filled his voice as he chortled. A tinge of fear surged within the eyes of Laozu of Qiao clan as he scanned for his chance to flee. Wipe the dragon sect out? I'll wipe the medical saint sect out first. When the other sacred sects and clans heard the news, they also couldn't remain composed for a long time. The death of 3 unparalleled experts. At that time, although the Sui clan and Xiao clan were present, Sui Huang wasn't there. In other words, only the Laozu of Xiao clan was there. The dragon sect would at least have 2 Dan realm experts. A stream of dense dragon energy entered. There's a fire spark in his body. Feeling the injuries in Sui Huang's body, Wang Xian was astonished. It's an injury that has gone deep into his bones. That black fire spark has attached itself deeply in the body of old Sui. The one who injured him is definitely not an ordinary expert. If it wasn't for old Sui being a fire attribute expert too, he would probably be finished. That black fire spark is a really pressing issue.